Um, the reason why I make the same videos is because I understand that there'll be a day when I will not be able to do that. It's like, when you make sure that you say whatever you need to say before you can't say it. For me, they actually want you to, like, they want me to identify with this. But doing that is just like, first of all, and because when they do these manipulations, right, and whose day is this program where they're manipulating you in order for you to identify what they like to do, is try to say, oh, they'll see that, they'll like, okay, let me matter of fact, let me make a video about what they're gonna see, because they want you to identify with this. And I have not been the nice guy in the sense that for this purpose, this governmental trash who are contracted by this government program to utilize this technology onto us target individuals. We are just test subject in this cognitive warfare. And it's unfortunate that they need to use human subject, but that's the case, that's the reality. So they find ways to manipulate target individuals in ways that are disturbing. And for me, and for a lot of target individuals, it's actually very pedophilia-centric. So they force you to get nasty stimulations, right? And then they contract these bottom feeders, this governmental trash, who are supposed to make you identify with this. This technology, some of it is called synthetic telepathy or V2K, something like that. But it's like, basically, a lot of it is just cognitive for me, but also physically, because my body is destroyed. Actually, I was feeling my arm right now, my forearm. I made a video early on. They've been like, something's going on with my skin. It's extremely sensitive. I don't know. They play with my. I'm not very aware of like medical terms or biological terms, but I feel like my skin layer is just like, layer of my skin are just being removed. I don't know how to say it. It feels like it's slowly peeling, and my forearm is extremely sensitive. Now I don't know if just the nerve sensory are being played with, or actually my skin is peeling. I don't know, but it just feels weird. If I just barely like put a little bit of like just a little feeling, or even like if I kind of like rub it, I feel a weird like irritation. And it's funny how they kind of try to recreate reality in ways based on how they manipulate my brain. And it's just a lot of mind games. It's a lot of mind games to get you to accept this version of reality they've put together. It's like they create a false reality, a synthetic reality, and then they want you to identify with this synthetic reality. And they have people like, I had neighbors try to act. It's crazy how these neighbors can stay in character. I mean, there's so much validation of what they do. It's so horrible what they do. Testimonies of everything they do to me has been said by others. The truth of what really is going on is there. It's not the manipulation. It's just not the BS storylines they try to put together. The reality is there. They can't escape it. These people are involved in a program where test subjects are also inclusive of children, and they abuse children. They torture children. We talk about all kind of, you know what they're doing with my skin? There's some similar testimonies of rashes and things like that, where they just destroy this kid's body to the point where they have rashes, to the point where they think they die. They think they're gonna die. That's what they're doing to me. And they've been letting me know that I'll be spotting, I'll be having rashes, and it's actually, I guess, it's a common thing for like sensitive skin. Is because there's some kind. Apparently, I'm in this. I'm not in the medical field, but some kind of sensory nerve. My nerve sensories are being played with, and something with my layer skin is something like that. And there's things they do to me. But they've done that to children. But to try to like create this fake reality and get you to accept this, it takes like they're just pathetic low life. But the truth is also, I can see why they do this, because the empowerment of how they feel. They can really reconstruct reality, and then they can act accordingly. It's crazy to see a grown man with kids acting like, I'm like, do you understand what you're involved in? Do you think I know that? Like, of course I know you understand. Do you understand that at this point, I can say a name of a child that's dead because of trash, like you acting the way you act. Like this, the level of validation of how trash and horrible these people are, it's just beyond. It's just like, imagine like in the Bible, if you thought of, okay, these people are like this, and I'm not even talking about biblical but like in any movies or any stories in books where you like everything you can imagine that's like foul, these people are involved in that. It's crazy. But I understand why they would love this, because for that price they can feel like gods. Some of them are just like childlike individual. I mean, like there is nothing more sure in life in regard of like, because this is a government program, right? They're using test subjects who are able to do anything about anything. So this participant have this feeling of like winning, because we're just like target individual who can do nothing about it. And so you have these people like, now we got it, we want to win. I was like, whatever is going to happen to you is going to happen to you, because that's the governmental entity doing this to somebody who can do nothing about it. It's like like when they aim at like some kind of, like they aim their like newly made bombs to like a non-moving target. It's gonna get there, Wow, like it's just that's that. But there's people who are very like childlike minded who start making it like a competition. Like, what, this target is here. He can't do nothing about it. So there's this aspect of like these childlike individuals who have, who just want to feel like a winner, but it's like basically shooting at something that's not moving. You can, you can miss maybe a few times, but at one point you're gonna hit it. That's the kind of things that they are just that pathetic in some cases, and you can see even adults get into like this mind kind of childlike, just because they enjoy what it means to be involved in this. You are literally have the ability to control a human being. You become somewhat of a god. They can make me want to use the restroom. They can have me have sexual stimulations. They can make me have any thoughts. They can anything in any. I'm basically a puppet. Truly, like in the real sense, like they can make me think anyway. It's not like a puppet in the sense that you have to be like cunning, and not even cunning. You have to be like super like sneaky, and no, they're literally controlling your mind, literally making you say things that they want you to say, and react to the way they want you, stimulate it the way they want you to stimulate you to be stimulated, move even some movement. That's why they are willing to dumb themselves down to this level. Now I'm saying that because once again, you see this. Another ad of, this is a black little girl. It's an ad or something like that. Typical things they do to me. From this point on, they do this pedophilia type of torture, which is what they've done to so many others. They do things very systematically. That's the one thing about them. They're very consistent. And it's funny sometimes to agitate me. They're like, they dared. When the reality is just so common that you're going to listen to the same thing that you heard before. That sounds exactly like what I'm saying. Right? And they use these childlike individuals who, for me, there's a lot of young females. Some of them sound like children, actually. And you hear them saying in this like weird tonality where they're just like, they laugh. Yeah, you are. It's like, what the hell? It's like some clowns in a character, thinking that I'm gonna let them identify. I'm gonna let them think that I'm gonna identify to this. That they are not visible when there used to be a time where these people used to be very visible. And very aggressive. The passion they had. Those days are long gone, because you're gonna hear what you're gonna hear. The tactics they've been applying onto me has been done to so many others, but but not only the tactics, but who they've done it to. Just shows how cowardly and foul these people are, and how disturbing they are. And finding out the entities that are doing this, it's just like, oh my gosh, really? They try to make it sound like they protect children. It's like, really, that's why you go look on the video called Child Protectors. You see how protective of children they are. You're gonna see how how much of protections they give to children, and how they treat them. And these people talking to me in these character-like ways, in these clown-like ways. No, that I know that. But with me, what's happening is, when they make me have this reaction toward these babies, they're like, no, what we're doing to you, we're mapping your brain to when you were a kid, right? That alone shows how illogical it is. Why would you make somebody think like a child? Basically, they're saying that we're making you be mentally retarded. And the reason why they say that, and it's falsified, because even when I was a kid, this is not the reaction I would have. But today they are rewiring my childhood memories and my reactions to make me experience that today as a grown adult man in the 30s, right? It's because they're trying to bring up what I did when I was in middle school as a child. I did this inappropriate thing that will never be what they wish it was, right? They have to exaggerate this act of a child. That was just an impulsive act. It was not something that was thought of. It was not something that was just... It was an impulsive act. Matter of fact, when I talk about it right now, they're forcing me to have stimulations. Like I said, they don't live in reality. They are living in synthetic reality. So as I'm talking about it, they give me stimulation today. So they'll be like, oh, you see, you think about it, it's turn you on. And the truth is, this act was not even remembered by me. I completely forgot about this impulsive act of me when I was a child. But today, even talking about it, they're forcing me stimulation. And so they're like, no, remember what you did, black girls. And listen, I did what I did as a child because it was an impulsive thing I did as a child. I'm not a child. And when I was a child, I was not thinking like that the way you make me think today. I just did some dumb thing, inappropriate thing, because I was just... let's just say I just discovered something. And I couldn't stop doing this thing to myself. And one day I did that in an appropriate time. Now I understand these people commonly do the pedophilia type of torture. So with me, when they do the pedophilia type of torture, what they're doing is like, no, we are making you experience what you experienced when you were a child. And right now, as I'm speaking about it, as I'm seeing this child, they are giving me a weird sensation, which is, that's the sensation you felt when you were a kid, which is falsified. And they're like, oh, our girls, and they die for it. Now you're going to listen to what they do to children, right? And who has died for it? They use test subjects that are even children, because some of them have died. Of course, the death is a long, slow death, but some of them have died. The governmental entities running this program, as I mentioned, have shown a pattern of endangering children by the sense of they've been ranked by Child Protective Services as ranked 19th out of 2,900 for downloading child porn. 19th out of 2,900 network. These Child Protectives was going through all the network in the United States and seeing the amount of child porn being shared and trafficked. The Department of Defense was 19th out of the 2,900. Now you understand how protective of children these people are. Oh, talking about who died for it? Because what this is about this development of technology. As I said, children have died for it. Some directly, some indirectly. The latest who died for it was a 14-year-old child who got killed on Youth Night in October of 26th or 25th, 2023. He died for it because the person who killed him was a target individual who ended up killing for it because he wanted to kill himself for it. He killed 18 people, which include a child who died for it. This man was a target individual who's getting the typical manipulations and derogative things. They were calling him a pedophile. He lost his mind and went and killed also a child who, I say, he died for it too. Many of us will die for it. There'll be men, there'll be women, and there'll be children who will die for it while these bottom feeders are living for it. Working for governmental entities who have shown clear pattern of pedophilia as a major issue, while these people are trying to get to exaggerate, not even try to, what's the word, they're making it hard for me to speak. They are trying to rationalize the manipulation you experience, which are clear correlated manipulation and consistent manipulation that you heard many times from other target individuals. And they've been abusing children and torturing them in so many horrible ways. I guess those children are being tortured for it too. And they use these retards. I call them retard. I'm sorry for that language, but they truly are mentally handicapped individuals at some point, or at least they make themselves be that. Because I'm aware of how truly abusive they are to children. But in fact, they try to even exaggerate what I did as a child. Like, now you're going to die for it. You're going to hear the horrible things they do to children. This is not an exaggerated reality. This is testimonial of a mother talking about her and her young child, of a teacher who talks about her seeing kids that her clients suffocating, hurting sexually. They're all toddlers, as young as 3 years old, being sexually tortured. Sexual torture. Yeah, as I said that, they try to create this storyline in my head that has nothing to do with me. I'd rather die for it like Aaron Young died for it. Like so many men and women died for it. I'd rather die with them than live like this trash who sold their soul and live for these pedophiles. To all my target individuals listening to all this.
I am currently a speech-language pathologist working in private practice with young children. I had a 7-year-old client who has autism, and she was the most significantly affected of all of my clients. I eventually had to tell this client to go to another clinic, and they used her to threaten the most torture in me as well as their most extreme forms of torture. For several months, she would cry and scream horribly during our therapy sessions despite having a great day at school. This was highly unusual behavior for her, as she usually behaved very well during her therapy sessions and had been making incredible progress on all of her therapy goals. This was used to threaten extreme torture on me, making me scream and cry, etc. They would make the kids act out the kinds of torture that would later be done on me. For example, they would also sometimes make her bite her hand, threatening to make me bite my hands, as they often do. One day, she had a large, severe bite mark on her arm. She has also grabbed her crotch, saying, "Ow," and this was used to threaten me with severe sexual torture. One day, I also observed her gasping for air a few times in the same way that I do when I am being more severely suffocated. The suffocation had been in a mild state for a while up until this point. Many of their torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw this child being suffocated, then I began to experience very extreme suffocation all day, every day, for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I eat. Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, ow. I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions. During one session, I observed one of my 3-year-old clients suddenly grab his crotch and lean forward in his chair. And then he made a frightening grimace of severe pain. I asked him what was wrong and if he needed to use the restroom, but he said no to having to use the restroom and was not able to verbalize anything more due to his language delay. He looked puzzled and bewildered. Even though I had stated that it was time to do more work right before this incident, I quickly just let him play another game, and he quickly returned to his joyful, happy self again. In other sessions, he has also grabbed his crotch and said, ow, while looking up at me.
Ms. Catherine Nestor.
Thanks. My name is Catherine Nestor, and I'm from Pennsylvania. This commission has spoken of a long history of abuse of the human research subject. Although no one mentioned MKUltra today, President Clinton recently apologized for this. My young child and I have been used as non-consensual test subjects. We have been subjected to COINTELPRO-like stalking, remote neural monitoring, and electromagnetic torture, resulting in psychological and physical damage. And I won't go into the details of that because I have 4 pages written in here that is very similar to Connie's testimony. Please do not wait 70 years to investigate this. I ask Dr. Amy Gutman to begin today. There is new work for the Commission for Human Subject Protection on our shores. And please give us a dramatic response, Susan, and please give us a congressional hearing. Thank you.
And have had a decent education. I live in El Dorado Hills, California, with my wife of 14 years, Lorna, and our 5 children. Nicole is 15, Patricia 14, Christopher 13, Dylan 9, and Avery 16 months old. Not only have I been going through this, but my entire family has suffered right by my side. We have all experienced the same type of harassment on different levels. We have all suffered the same symptoms while this harassment was going on. Some of our physical symptoms include severe tooth decay and vision loss. Unexplained rashes and burns, severe headaches, mood swings, anxiety, thyroid problems, high blood pressure, heart problems, vision loss and cancer. Two of my children were born premature, which I attribute to this. Our son Dylan, now age 9, was born very premature. He was born at 31 weeks. During her pregnancy with Dylan, we were being targeted more so than other times. At the delivery, there were weird men walking and waiting around the hospital. Right outside our delivery room window, there was a white cargo van parked with 2 suspicious men inside. They were there the entire labor, a delivery. Our son had to be transported to another hospital 45 minutes away. When arriving to the Toa hospital, those same men and van were present. Three of my children have severe rashes that have not been explained by several doctors. These rashes have been present for several years at a time. If interested, I will gladly furnish you with detailed photos of the rashes. Our infant daughter, at 3 weeks old, was diagnosed with Lerner syndrome. This was after a severe rash appeared on her body after a few days of torture. We were told by a couple doctors to take her home and love her and spend the rest of the time we have with her. They told us she would ultimately die from this syndrome. Thank God that Lerner syndrome was not what affected our daughter. Doctors are still dumbfounded by her rash and symptoms. Sadly, we know that her symptoms were effects from the torture this poor innocent 3-week-old baby endured. Recently, I lost complete time. I exhibited the flashing lights. My 9-year-old son Dylan complained about the lights. You will often hear that vision is something that is greatly affected with this type of torture.
Now, these children suffered for it. They've been tortured for it, and I'm sure some of them have died for it. This is what this trash do to children. And as I was listening to that, they're trying to counter that. Like I said, as a target individual, they truly want you to think in this illogical way. Listen, what I did as a kid will never be to the extent that they wish it was. They keep wishing that I'm molested when I was when I was like 14, middle school, 13, 14. They wish that was it, or some kind of version of that. The truth is, I did something to myself. It was mostly, it was just me doing something to myself. That's that. The sexual action was on me. But they try to exaggerate that for them to kind of hype themselves up. But because I understand what children are capable of doing, right? I understand that children are capable of doing impulsive things. That's why a child is capable of doing. Kids don't have a fully developed brain. They are extremely impulsive, especially before they hit 15 years old. But some kids have done, more disturbing things, and it's sad because they're still children, but they've done things that are really wrong. And they were trying to make me think, because you heard how a 3-year-old was sexually tortured by them, right? It's about countering reality. You hear that a 3-year-old child with issue in talking was targeted in a sexual way, where he grabbed his genitals, his private area, looked at the woman, and had like a grimace of pain. And that's because they were targeting his genital area, his testicle, or his private area. As a 3-year-old. Now to counter that, which is horrible, you understand what they do to children. They know that I see them for what they're involved in. I'm not going to let them escape. This is what they live for. To counter that, they're trying to because they're trying to be like, no, what you did as a kid. As a kids do things like that, and it's impulsiveness, of a child. But some kids have done some more, some bad things. There was this kid that was 15 years old. He was caught by his mother molesting his 3-year-old sister. The mother says that to her father. Now, maybe that's a little too much, but the father looked at him and he